series we're going to be covering today is the Knicks and Cavs. So I guess we'll thoughts on this series, Brian?
Yeah, so this series is pretty similar to the Suns and the Clippers in the sense that the Cavs are kind of forced to play their top four players heavy minutes, whereas the Knicks have more depth, right? Now basically in game one, Mitchell had little to no help. Garland played okay, but he had no help, and especially on the bench, like
And yeah, it was practically non-existent.
exactly right. And then Brunson played an
Really
amazing
well.
game. Now, the difference
Josh Hart.
between and Josh Hart, the main difference between game one and game two is two things. One, even though he's a bench player, Levert went off for 24, right? So they got some bench production. And two, the Cavs big men, so Allen and Mobley played amazing defense, right? They were able to contain Randall compared to game one, even though like Randall pretty much played the same. It's from a stat perspective, he played very similar to game one to game two. Randall was in the paint a lot more in game two versus game one, and then Allen and Mobley were contesting shots a lot more, and also they were able to really contest most of the shots that Brunson was doing, right? So because Brunson drives a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like he drives a lot, and that's why he got 10 free throws today because he was just driving the ball, right? But
Yep.
whenever he drove the ball, Allen and Mobley contested, so it made it difficult for Brunson to really get a rhythm, right? Because most of his points came at the free throw line, or half his points actually came at the free throw line today, right? So they were able to contain Brunson. They played much better defense in the paint. They were able to limit the amount of scoring in the paint for Randall, and they got bench production from Levert and Garland and Mitchell played well today, right? So, uh, honestly, this will just be a back and forth throughout the entire series, in my opinion, right? It would be dependent on how well the Cavs bench plays, how well their starters plays on both offense and defense, and then it will be the Knicks being able to get production from the rest of their bench, right? So because the Knicks just have more depth. Now, having said all that, this series will probably go 7 games. It's not the most prettiest series to watch. There's not a lot of offensive creativity, for lack of a better phrase. Um, so while it will probably be the most competitive series of all the ones that we've discussed today, it'll probably be the least appealing to watch just because there's not a lot of offensive creativity, right? It's a lot of Jalen pick and roll. It's a lot of Randall isolating. It's a lot of Mitchell isolating. So that's what my thoughts on this series.
Yeah. I My prediction is going to be Cavs in six. I just
Mm.
think they're. I mean, even though the Knicks have depth, I think the Cavs have better top talent.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I mean, ultimately, that's going to win out, especially in the first round of the playoffs. Um, so I mean, ultimately, I mean, the both teams are playing well. I mean, for the Knicks specifically, they're really relying on their star player to play because if they've like for example, they lost game two pretty quickly because Brunson's just having a bad game and
Yeah.
Mitchell's been consistent. And then with the great play from Mobley and Allen, uh, like like I just don't see the Knicks being able to stop that.
Yeah.
They don't really have
And
a base
yeah,
to stop them.
yeah. And then Randall, and this is a credit to Mobley and Allen. Randall has 11 turnovers in 2 games,
Yep.
right? And he's shot under 4% for the past 2 games, right? So if the Knicks want to win the series or make it more competitive, they have to Randall has to play better and make better decisions, right? Brunson, despite him having a bad shooting game, he was doing all the right things. He was driving the ball. He was collapsing via defense, right? He just didn't make shots. He's playing good ball. Randall has not been playing good ball this entire series, right? And for the Knicks to extend the series to 6 or 7 games if they want to, or even win the series, Randall has to play better, right? Because they can keep up with the Cavs because the Cavs outside of their top four, they don't have a lot of offensive talent. So they can keep up with the Cavs just from as a whole team combined, right? Because they have enough offensive prowess for the entire team against the Cavs. But if they want to be able to win, Randall has to play better, make better basketball decisions.
Yeah. In addition to that, for the Knicks, they also need better play from RJ Barrett.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Because dude, the guy had what? He played 31 minutes and scored what, 7 points. Not
He's
it's fighting to
been
win, but even then, it's like he averaged near 20 points a game in the regular season. Like I don't necessarily expect him to have that. I mean, you probably should, considering how high of a draft pick he was. But you're gonna need some production from him as well.
so yeah. So I agree with you that they need his production. I just don't think that they're gonna get it. And just for one reason only, he doesn't take good shots. Or sorry, two reasons. He doesn't take good shots, and he's not a good shot maker. He's 6 for 25 in 2 games right now.
Well, I
Right,
mean, if he wants
that's
to
27%.
he needs to figure it out because
And yeah, and
he's
he's also a career 42% shooter and under 30% from three. Right, so he's
right.
not a good shot maker, and he takes bad shots. And against a good defense like the Cavs, who have a top 3 defense, he's probably gonna shoot worse than that. So it's I think he'll eventually have one breakout game, but for me, it would be surprising for him to have a good shooting series.
I mean, you're right, but for them to beat the Cavs, I mean, that's what's gonna have to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is like
yeah,
you can't always bank on like Brunson and Randall every single game. They're not like, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're great players. I'm not gonna, I don't want to discredit their ability to play, but they're not superstar level players who are accustomed to like carry. Like they're not LeBron or KD or Curry.
yeah,
Where these top like top 5 for talent guys who are accustomed to playing heavy minutes and carrying teams.
Yeah.
That's why I was
yeah,
thinking like, well, if they like Brunson and Randall can't do it alone, they're gonna need another player who can, get them at least around that 20-point range to kind of put them over the top. Because I don't think that the Knicks are necessarily good enough to beat the Cavs the way they're currently constructed.
Yeah. So I agree with you that Barrett needs to play well for the Cavs to win.
Just I know that it's
I just don't think that it will happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm picking the Cavs. But I'm saying, like, in order for the Knicks to beat the Cavs, like, he's gonna have to play better.
Agreed.
I think that's my thoughts on the series. I don't really have too many thoughts, to be honest. I do think the Cavs are gonna win unless Barrett plays better, honestly. Or Brunson just goes off, or Randall goes off for like 30 plus points.
Yep. That's it from my end as well. Any last thoughts before we sign off?
I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today on the Two Men podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone. Bye.